Good morning, class. My name is Abdurrahman Taj, and today I'll be talking about Pinnacle Airlines Flight 3701. So, the key points for today, first we're going to start with the background, then the accident sequence, then the NTSB investigation. For the NTSB investigation, I'll be using the 5M model. So, we're going to start with the man, the machine, the medium, the mission, and finally the management. And at the end of this presentation, we're gonna talk about the recap and everything we talked about. So a little bit of the background of this flight. It happened on October 14, 2004. It was on CRJ 200. The captain had 6,900 hours on his belt, and the first officer had 760 hours. The original mission for this flight was to move the airplane without passengers or crew, just the two pilots, to another airport so they can catch up with the schedule the next day. So let's start with the accident sequence. So once the crew, the captain and the first officer reached the airport, they decided to change the mission and they set up their mind on reaching 41,000 feet. That was to join a club called 410 Club. This 410 Club is all about flying the CRJ 200 to 41,000 feet. 41,000 feet for the CRJ 200 is the service ceiling for the aircraft. So after taking off, few seconds after taking off, and 35 feet off the runway, the stick shaker, which indicate that the airplane may stall, was activated. The crew did not do anything about that, and they started climbing even higher, and they kept going. During their flight from the ground, from the airport to 41,000 feet, a lot of stuff happened. The captain and the first officer switched seats for unknown reason, and the captain abandoned his station to go and get a drink for him and his first officer. Of course, the stick shaker during that time, through the entire journey from the ground to 41,000 feet, was activated more than once, around 7 to 9 times, perhaps even more. At 41,000 feet, they got contacted by ATC, asking them if they are in CRJ 200. The captain said yeah, and ATC said that he have never seen CRJ 200 at that altitude. The captain said he was just trying something new since he didn't have any passengers. The ATC couldn't say anything, so he just left it as this. So this is called the stick shaker. In this diagram, or this picture, it shows you how the stick shaker works. In sake of time, I'm gonna skip that. So the accident sequence. Once they were on 41,000 feet and they contacted the ATC, the airplane stalled. It stalled and they could only leveled it out at 37,000 feet. At 37,000 feet, the engines died and flamed out. So the captain decided to declare an emergency, and he started restarting the engines. That was a failure, and at 13,000 feet off the ground, they started looking for and contacted STC and told him that they had a dual engine failure and requested the nearest airport. Their nearest airport was far away from the gliding distance, and they crashed. So the airplane stalled at 40,000 feet because of something called the coffin corner. As you guys can see in the diagram, at the left you have the flight altitude, and down there is the speed. So at 41,000 feet, you have to stick with a certain speed. Otherwise, if you go up above or below that speed, you're gonna stall immediately. That's called the coffin corner, and a lot of people happen and a lot of accidents happen in aviation because of it. So the NTSB investigation. Once the accident happened and the call was made, the NTSB dispatched the GO team. The GO team, as you guys know, is a team that is ready 24 hours for any large commercial accidents. So this started with retrieving the flight recorders, like for example the FGR, and they started inviting representatives from companies to do the investigation. So they found out the following: the attitude of the pilots was wrong, and they were kind of excited about going to 41,000 feet, even though that meant breaking the rules. And the NTSB found out that they had a lack of knowledge. So the machine, at 41,000 feet, the engines flamed out, and the engine core was locked. So it was locked because once journey from the airport to 41,000 feet, they had a high angle of attack, which meant the engines were not getting enough air to cool down, and that made the engines super hot, and they locked. The NTSB also found out that the captains did not follow the restarting procedures for the engines. The checklist for restarting the engine called for them to descend down and reach out the speed of 300 knots. The first officer descended down, but he only reached 270 knots before leveling out again. So that did not start the engines. So let's talk about the medium. So the weather for that flight was not significant. There was absolutely no weather to affect the operation that day, and there was no pressure from management. Both pilots had a good day. The medium basically doesn't apply over here. So the original mission, as we said before, was to move the airplane from a certain airport to a different airport. However, when the new mission changed for the pilot to go to 41,000 feet and ignore all the rules and regulations, that started the accident sequence. So the management. The NTSB found out that there is a problem with the ground training. They're not talking about different kinds of situations at high altitude, and they found a problem with the simulator training. The instructors were not training the cadet to restart the engines in the simulator training. And they also found that there's a problem with the crew resource management. The Pinnacle Airlines only dedicate 6 hours for that, and they didn't talk about it a lot. So, recap about everything that happened. So, the accident happened due to pilots and their attitude, and everything they did, their lack of knowledge of how the airplane operates and how it runs, about the coffin corner, all that, because of the ground school. The airplane with the locked core, which was already a known problem to the airlines and the FAA and the NTSB. And there was a procedure, but it wasn't known to the pilots to start the engines again. And management with their training, simulator or ground training and crew resource management or CRM, and not confessing. Not confessing was the real reason why they had the crash. At 37,000 feet, there was around 7 or 8 airports near them, but they decided to keep quiet and not tell ATC that they need to land, and they tried to salvage the situation. Solving the situation did not happen, and 13,000 feet, they finally confessed that they have dual engine failure and they need to land. And basically, the nearest airport was not near them at all. They crashed a few miles before the runway. So these are my references. I highly recommend the second one, which is the NTSB investigation report. And that's my presentation. If you have any questions, just email me.